Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Wednesday, the 27th of May. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about Iran has said that the new US strikes have violated the ceasefire, the UK is targeting Russian crypto networks in its latest sanctions, and Russia threatens to strike on Kyiv defensive sites. So firstly, Iran said on Tuesday that the United States had violated the ceasefire by striking targets near the contested Strait of Hormuz, potentially complicating efforts to bring the war to a close. Further straining peace efforts, Israel has pounded Lebanon with more than 120 airstrikes on Tuesday in one of the heaviest days of bombings in weeks, the Lebanese security sources said. Iran has sought an end to the Israeli attacks on Lebanon as part of any deal. So what? I mean, not really much has changed since yesterday outside of Trump demanding more concessions and these Israeli airstrikes. Some analysts have called these strikes, particularly the US ones, a master play, essentially showing Iran that what the US can do at any moment. I somewhat disagree with their assessments. While I think a show of power does, remind Iran that the US is a very powerful adversary and conduct complex and effective airstrikes at any moment, I think it's not really a great way to build trust, and trust is kind of the bedrock of any ceasefire/peace agreement. So yeah, though, from what Trump's been saying over the last day, it doesn't seem like he sees it like this. He wants Iran to basically admit they lost the war so that it looks good for him. But, Iran aren't going to do that because, they haven't. So, yeah. And next. On Tuesday, Britain announced a tough new wave of sanctions aimed at disrupting the crypto and financial networks Russia uses to bypass Western sanctions, with a package of 18 designations coming into effect immediately that freeze assets and bar British firms from processing payments. The measures stem from a broader Western effort to close financial loopholes that Russia has increasingly relied on as sanctions pressure tightened. Targeting what London described as a shadow financial system underpinning Russia's war economy, including a Kremlin-backed A7 network. Britain imposed sanctions on 14 companies and 4 individuals, including a cryptocurrency exchange, EXMO, HTX, BitPapa, lots of really random names, and a bank in Kyrgyzstan, with officials suspecting over $1.5 billion having flowed through these networks to the Kremlin. So what? I think this is a good move, as crypto is currently being the preferred method of moving any illicit funds internationally. I think it could also affect the paying of intelligence assets in Europe. This is something I covered in a longer form video over on the HM Intelligence YouTube channel, but it's essentially where they recruit younger people through social media and gaming to conduct like low level or technical level attacks or, intelligence collection activity in Europe, and then paying them through cryptocurrency. So if the UK and Europe can affect these payment systems, this could be a good move. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be playing whack-a-mole. Much like most sanctions, Russia will learn how to get around it. They'll start new banks, they'll change names, they'll just continue to evolve to get around any types of sanctions. So that is the challenge here. And lastly, Russia said on Monday that it intended to launch systematic strikes on targets in Kyiv linked to the Ukrainian military, as well as decision-making centers, and urged foreigners to leave a day after one of the heaviest bombardments of the city since the start of the war. The Ukrainian foreign minister urged Kyiv allies not to give in to Russian blackmail, and the head of EU missions in the city said that the 27-nation bloc was not going anywhere. So what? I think there's likely strong words for both the domestic audience and international supporters. Russia has taken some pretty big reputational hits recently, especially around the May Day parade, and it kind of needs to present itself as a strong adversary, especially as any kind of peace talks happen. If you're not looking strong when you go into any talks, no one's really going to give you what you want. They have no leverage over you, basically. So I think while Russia will likely attempt to target factories linked to the war effort and, as it said, decision-making centers, it's unlikely to directly target foreigners. This would be pretty significant, and it's something I don't think they'd do. All in all, I think this is just big words from Russia again and again. But yeah, you never know. They might do something. They might not. Only they know. And anyway, that's been the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel. I'll see you again tomorrow. See you.